I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we all stand, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I also acknowledge all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and First Peoples of all nations who are joining this virtual event. From the very beginning, ReelOzInd has been about sharing stories, experiences and perspectives across cultures and borders. 5 years on, this has become more important than ever. Through the rich medium of short film, ReelOzInd provides a critical bridge for exchange and understanding between Indonesians and Australians. I applaud the ReelOzInd team at the Australian-Indonesian Centre for Rallying to bring us an entirely online program so the festival can continue during the pandemic. It's this sort of creativity and determination that is helping us bridge distance, stay connected, and find entertainment in these challenging times. This year's theme is energy, which will no doubt inspire a great diversity of entries. Congratulations to all the participating filmmakers who will share their creative energy with the world at a time when it has never been more needed. Best of luck to all the entrants. I look forward to tuning in October to watch your short but mighty stories. I'm very pleased to declare the 2020 ReelOzInd Festival open.
Iya, kuat emang ya.
Iya.
Harus
Iya.
jaga, jangan ini pergi-pergi dah itu.
Iya di sini doang kok.
Tetap berjaga kebersihan, mandi, jangan jadi tidur terus nggak mandi.
Iya, tiap hari mandi.
Iya, ya Ma.
Iya Ma.
Mama berdoa buat Moses selalu ya.
Iya.
Di situ ada social distancing 1 meter gitu kan?
2 meter bahkan di sini. Antrinya 2 meter, jadi jaraknya 2 meter gitu untuk masuk.
Iya, justru itu sayang ya Mang ya. Sehat-sehat kau di sini ya Mang ya.
Iya.
Aisyah ini habis-habis tiap bulan dah sisa?
Sisa sih.
Oh.
Iya, ya mumpung di sini beli banyak, kalau beli buku, beli CD film. Ya.
Beli dulu. Nanti ingetin ya Pak, ikat pinggang Bapak ya. Dom situ ya. Aduh masih jauh dah.
Aduh, berangkat ke Indonesia aja masih lama. September.
Mama masak 3 kali sehari, Seh.
3 kali sehari.
Masak.
Tumben ya, akhirnya ya masak terus lagi ya.
Akhirnya masak 3 kali sehari dan banyak-banyak.
Iya, kembali lagi seperti dulu. Iya.
Iya, kursinya kurang kan, kursinya 6.
Kursinya 6, satunya kosong
Iya,
ya.
satunya kosong.
Iya, iya.
Iyalah, Mama sabar menunggu ya, Bang.
Iya, Mak.
Iya, sayang.
Cheers, boys. Have a good one. We're closing up, mate.
What, now?
Yeah, just for a couple of hours.
Is it okay if I stay for a minute? I'm just working on something.
Another one of those lemonade things?
Yeah, thanks. Actually, can I run a few ideas by you? I'm working on a new film.
Yeah, go for it.
So, I'm thinking of a drama. Something gritty, intense, that really makes you feel. Or an action. Everyone loves an action film. Perhaps people are tired of action. People want something a little bit more cerebral. A thriller, something that's sophisticated.
Now listen to me very carefully. The bar is closing soon. You'll have to leave. Got it?
What do you think of a romance?
What's an excellent idea?
I mean, a romantic comedy.
What's an excellent idea?
It's just not realistic enough. People want, like, a documentary.
Yeah, let's come in. Let's come in close. Here, right, guys. So, here we see a genuine creative person who's working really hard. It can be a bit rare to see sometimes. It's exciting. Creative people are sometimes plagued with self-doubt. They can let their fears get to them.
What are you talking about?
What I'm saying, mate, perhaps your excessive ideas come from insecurities.
I just can't think of anything.
Just relax, mate. Take a deep breath. Just go for it.
Do you think people are just looking for a return to the classics? The golden age of cinema. The days when things were black and white and beautiful. Perhaps a homage to the Western. Perhaps I should just go all out on a fantasy epic. Then again, crime dramas are always successful. But I think people always go back to classic science fiction. Sports movies are really good. But nothing ever beats a good old adventure story. I should just do that. Or I should stick to a strong comedy. Or we can create a new genre.
Mate.
It's a pirate.
Mate.
And he's in a science fiction world.
Mate!
And he's a ghost.
Mate! Some great ideas there. Just choose one. Do it well. Okay? You can do this.
Yeah. Alright, now throw your head back a bit more. Mate. Mate! Brilliant, okay, great.
I'm gonna go far.
Yeah, go.
You got $1?
No, go and make your own money, Zoe.
Oh, come on. We just want a nice
Nah, not today.
What?
No. Don't make me tell your mother.
Don't make me call your parents. Like, my parents are gonna do anything. Hey, Harry, how you doing? Yeah, I'm great. Thanks for asking.
If your legs are hot, go down to the river or something. You can't sit in here all day.
The river. Hold on. The river. What the hell are we supposed to do there? It's disgusting.
Oi, get out now!
Hey! Hurry up! Quick! Sorry. Why would you push him? What the heck? My God! Just go! Hey, Jimmy, Alfie, we're just gonna head home. See you guys in soccer tomorrow. Bye. So, do you still need boots for tomorrow? Yeah, if that's okay. My mum just doesn't have any money until next week. Yeah, I'll ask my sister. Should be fine. Cool. Well, see ya. Bye.
Oh, hey, you stink. Go have a shower. And go do those dishes first.
The water smells freaking worse than I do.
Go do the dishes.
Mum, could you drop me off at soccer in the morning?
What? I bought you a bike, didn't I? Look, and it's just going to kill the environment driving 5 minutes down the street. Zoe, do the dishes now. You're not getting out of it.
Where are you going?
We're going to Harry's to get some smokes and a DVD. It's adult time now.
Can I come, please? Harry loves me.
No, Zoe, you do the dishes. I'm not going to ask you again.
Well, also, Harry said... miss it?
Nah, I got cancelled again. Apparently it was too hot.
Damn. So, what you guys doing?
I don't know, just drawing. Skating-ish. God, it's hot. Well, can we please do something?
Hey guys, you wanna go get ice blocks? I think I know how we can get some from good old Harry.
Oh no, not freaking Harry again!
No, seriously, trust me.
Waktu itu beta sudah tahu ada hal apa. Kok beta nih cuma orang biasa di sini nah. Ais beta juga baru tahu tentang itu kasus minyak Montana tuh pas orang-orang dong ada bercerita itu hal. Keadaan paling buruk tuh awal tahun 2010 sampai 2012. Katong susah mati bekerja. Selain rumput laut mati, ikan dong juga kok hilang. Tapi hari katong pi mancing itu hanya cukup untuk makan sa. Katong rasa ini cobaan dari Tuhan. Beta sonde tahu apa Tuhan pun rencana di balik ini semua. Katong susah kasih cukup kebutuhan keluarga. Apalagi untuk anak-anak dong pun sekolah. Mau kapan aju, katong pun hidup dari laut. Jadi, katong tetap harus kerja. Mangkali itu penyakit dari laut kok. Tapi katong justru sonde terlalu tahu persis. Dia pengobat, ya katong gosok salap sa. Tapi beta usaha supaya beta pun anak tetap bisa pergi sekolah. Katong sonde ada niat pindah. Mau ke mana ju, katong sulama di sini nah. Dari nenek moyang dong. Jadi katong tetap harus jaga dan rawat ini tempat. Sulima tahun lebe nih pemerintah dong hanya mulu besar sa mau bantu. Madong sonde ada backing apa-apa. Beta pikir-pikir nih, beta bikin salah apa deng Tuhan oh? Beta masih bisa cukupi beta pung kehidupan dengan anak-anak dong. Walaupun dia pung hasil sonde banyak, beta tetap bersyukur. Beta tetap akan tunggu sampai ini laut kembali ke dulu, Lai.
Langsung. Jangan kasih lihat di sini debu apa. Oh, ya.
Can you hear that? Silence is the most beautiful thing that exists in the universe. Silence is my radio, my music playlist. I suppose the ad breaks are the interjections I hear from mission control every now and then. Silence is my only solace up here, 70 miles above the surface of the earth. Up here I'm always contemplating, constellating my thoughts. Here I get to live out my childhood dreams of floating among the stars, witnessing the poetry of the universe. Breathtaking. On that note, my oxygen supply is the only thing preventing this suit from becoming a custom-built coffin. So much space before me and yet so little in this suit. Sometimes I feel like I'm suffocating in this prison, but it's all worth it for this view. Even when I'm back on Earth, I still find myself staring at the stars. Diamonds twinkling away in the night sky, always out of reach. It's so beautiful. There are no walls in space, no confines, no boundaries, and of course, no sound. Only the universe and the quiet. When I was a child, I would look up into the night sky and observe the stars. I remember my favorite constellation was Gemini, because I shared this star sign with my brother. I steal a glance at the earth. It reminds me of a globe I've seen before. It reminds me of him. My memory isn't the best. Most of the time I can't even remember what I had for breakfast. I hope I haven't left the stove on. And yet I can't seem to forget what happened to my brother. The events of that fateful day, so long ago. Crystal clear. This is what he told me. I had woken up hungry. I sat in my bed, listening to the noises outside. It was raining that morning. Pouring, actually. As I had a major day ahead of me, I turned on the stove and cracked open a couple of eggs, my favorite breakfast. You know how I like mine, sunny side up, and I always add salt for flavor. My brother didn't have breakfast at the usual time. He liked his at about 1 in the morning. Regardless, he wasn't exactly the typical kind of guy. He described himself as sort of a Robin Hood, except he never actually gave back to the poor. I knew what he was up to. I'd always turn a blind eye to it. I shouldn't have. He became very good at what he did. Fairly well seasoned. After each of his exploits, he'd regale me with stories of what he had done, the treasures he had taken. I was too caught up in the pursuit of my own dreams to advise him otherwise. He wanted to reach for diamonds. I wanted to reach for the stars. Literally. What happened next may as well have happened to me. These were his words. After breakfast, I got ready. That night, or should I say morning, I planned to pay a visit to a lovely old man who lived not far from me. A jeweler by trade, he obviously had an affinity for them. But there was no way anyone could appreciate diamonds as much as I. It was my lucky day. An open window on the second floor. My speciality. I invited myself inside, and that's when I saw them. Diamonds. They stared at me as they twinkled in the moonlight. In that moment, I must have spaced out. All it took was one small step for everything to go wrong. I had not noticed a metal globe on the shelf. I don't know how I knocked it over, but that is when my whole world came crashing down. And just like that, the silence I so relied on was shattered. The quiet, gone. I'd woken someone up. I still remember his gaunt face, wide-eyed and terrified as he saw me, a crowbar gripped tightly in his hands. And then he attacked. I didn't mean to do it. I would never intentionally assault anyone, not for the world. But as the adrenaline surged in my veins, something came over me. I picked up the globe and swung. I can't remember if I heard his scream or mine. But the next thing I knew was just that awful quiet. I knew it would be bars for me when I saw the red and blue lights flashing through the window. It truly was self-defense, but the court didn't see it that way. He was put away for a long time. Prison was not kind. I tried to cast my mind back to my childhood, searching for memories of playing with my brother back home. I try to remember scampering down hallways, playing in cardboard boxes, and pretending that we were flying through the cosmos. I search the recesses of my mind for corridors filled with noise and laughter, but all I can remember is silence. My mind is a funny thing. I think it tries to protect me from my past, but every now and then I remember everything. When I was a child, I would look up into the night sky and observe the stars. I remember that my favorite constellation was Gemini, because I needed to keep alive the memory of my twin brother, who died at birth. I hate that he left me alone. Silence is the most terrifying thing that exists in the universe.
Untuk X, tetap ditulis X ditambah dengan 2 kuadrat ditambahkan dengan dalam kurung Y min 3 kuadrat sama dengan 2 kuadrat sama dengan 4. Kemudian untuk X kita ambilkan dari sini min 2 kita rubah menjadi plus 2, kemudian ditambahkan dengan 2 kuadrat ditambahkan dengan Y diambilkan dari 3 dikurangi dengan 3 kuadrat sama dengan 4. Nah sekarang kita olah 2 ditambah 2 kuadrat sama dengan 4 ditambahkan dengan 2 sama dengan 6. Dari posisi titik berikut terhadap lingkaran X kuadrat plus Y kuadrat ditambah 4X min 6Y ditambah 9 sama dengan 0. Nah kenapa kok jawabannya di sini bisa A sama dengan dalam kurung 1,0 dan B-nya 1,2. Nah, persamaan lingkaran berikut. X diturunkan di sini, X menjadi 1. Kemudian untuk Y sama dengan 0. Kemudian untuk X kita ambilkan dari sini min 2 kita rubah menjadi plus 2. Kemudian ditambahkan dengan 2 kuadrat sama dengan 4. Nah, sekarang kita olah 2 ditambah 2 kuadrat sama dengan 4 ditambahkan dengan 2 sama dengan 6. Nah, kenapa kok jawabannya di sini? Bisa A sama dengan dalam kurung 1,0 dan B-nya 1,2. Kemudian akar 2. Damar, mau kemana kamu? Damar.
Pak, Bu, tolong. Pak, tolong. Pak, Bu, tolong damar, Pak. Bu, tolong. Damar janji, ora bakal bolos meneh, Pak. Bu, damar janji. Damar janji, Pak. Bu. Tolong damar. Pak, Bu, tolong damar, Pak. Bu.
Ayo kembali ke kelas. Iya, Pak.
Future D. Fidel is a playwright based in Brisbane. His play, Prizefighter, has just completed its very successful season at Sydney's Belvoir Street Theatre. Prizefighter is the story of a refugee, a former child soldier from Congo, who now lives in the Australian suburbs. He's a brilliant boxer with a shot at the national title, but he somehow has to learn to manage the lingering terror of his childhood in Africa. Hello, Future.
Hello.
So you wrote Prizefighter, the story of this young guy.
Boxing plays as a metaphor of the struggles that I go through, the struggles that other people go through on a daily basis. For Issa, the protagonist of the play, it was the people that killed his family, the people that forced him to become a child soldier. The idea of boxing is one-on-one, which is you against your opponent. Your opponent is not the individual person, but it's the trauma, it's the depression you're facing. It's anything that's stopping you from getting what you want. When I first came to Australia, I wanted to be an actor. But acting wasn't so good because obviously, hey, who's gonna cast somebody who doesn't speak English? Unless it's a refugee role, in which you're gonna need English still. And so I started writing in order to tell my own stories. And so that was hard. And when I'm not working, I'm at home, I'm writing. And when I go, there's this time where you might be sleeping and you think of something, and then you just wake up and write that down because you don't want it to slip away.
Future and I met 7 or 8 years ago, and I saw him in a piece of work made with a community group, and he was performing in it and had some of his personal story in the work that he performed. So then he came over here and he did some writing workshops with the company, and then they commissioned him to write Prizefighter.
got a call from my agent who said there's this play, a boxing play. And I said, okay, send it through. I read it, and I said it was more than about just boxing.
So that when his brother...
This story is hopefully to break down barriers of how perhaps we're perceived in society, or for people who just, don't know how refugees come about, all in-depth stories that you might not get enough information from on the news.
I started writing Prize Fighter simply because it was close to my heart, and I felt like it was my duty to tell a story, a Congolese story or an African story. There was time where I'll write and the scene is too graphic that I would just leave it there and just stop, and maybe a tear will fall. But hey, then I'll have to think to myself, this is the story that a lot of people went through. If you want to tell a story, tell the way it was. Otherwise, just don't tell it at all. After the genocide of Rwanda in 1994, there was a lot of refugees that came into the Congo. But when the Tutsi followed them in, they didn't only kill those refugees, they also started killing the Congolese. And so half of my childhood was living in different places because of the unfortunate circumstances of war. So the best thing to do was simply to leave everything we had, everything we've known, to go to places where we had no idea about, places where we were not valued as people. It was part of life that you had to take, because otherwise you would die. I didn't want to become, one of them, one of the child soldiers, because of having my dad's voice in my head. What are you trying to do, or why would you want to do this? And I didn't want to be a killer. I'm not a killer. I wasn't born to be a killer. And so I tried everything possible to stay out of that zone. The tactics of killing was simply to put people in their houses and burn it down. It didn't matter how many were there. In the village where I lived, there was piles of mass graves where they just dumped all the people in there who had died. After losing my mom, I then had no one to look after me, and the rebels or the soldiers were still coming in. And so when they came, a lot of people in the village left. My sister and I stayed behind. And when they came in, they started knocking on the door. Not knocking, there's a difference between knocking and trying to knock the door down. And so they forced us outside and took us into a soccer field. And all of us, other people who were in the village, were all put there together. And the soldiers stood in the line with their AK-47s in their hands, ready, just waiting for that command to fire. I looked at myself and thought, this is it. This is the end of my life. But one of the guys who was on the side started talking on the walkie-talkie, walking around. It seemed like he was angry for some sort. And for some reasons, after he's finished talking, he told us to leave. We left as fast as wind. And from there, I knew that place was no longer for me. I believe there's a lot of people who have gone through worse than I have, but are still strong and still pushing forward. And I know I just feel like I'm fortunate enough to be here, and maybe I'm here for a reason.
Future is incredibly motivated. He's one of the most motivated young men that I've come across, considering the trauma that he's gone through in his life and considering the hardships that he's faced.
When I was at school, I'd go into the library and pick out plays and read plays. And the fact that we can go into a school now and pick out a prize fighter play, open it up, and it'll say your name there as part of development and original cast is a big thing, because I never had that when I was growing up. Future, by sharing his stories, being honest about what he's been through, allows that voice for that young African Australian kid.
Future's created a platform, and it's definitely inspired a lot of Africans and other ethnicities in the community to become creative.
There's a chord in the middle of us that we can all attach to and can relate to similar stories and similar themes. And so for me, I will tell the stories that will make a change or that will make somebody think, whether it's through storytelling or there's any other ways. I feel like that night or that day in the soccer field, they didn't shoot me because there was something great that I am to do.
Nurela.
Iya,
Iya.
Joko.
Iya. Yuk makan.
Ayo.
Ayo.
Wah, pan di sini pintu masuknya.
Ketemuannya di sini. Makanya di situ.
Wah, lu ngibulin gua, lu kampret, lu sialan, lu dasar bujang lapuk lu. Tau gitu lu, gua nggak pernah
Baru juga kemarin. Kangen ya sama selendang mayang buatan Babe.
Ada acara apa, Be?
Assalamualaikum, Le. Gimana Nulira kemarin?
Lancar, Bu.
Lancar toh? Kamu tidak ditolak toh?
Enggak, Bu.
Alhamdulillah, ya Allah, Le. Akhirnya, ya wes, Ibu tak ke Jakarta ya sama Bude ya. Ini, nya. Aku wes oleh mantu. Wes, Le, tunggu Ibu di sana ya. Ibu mas sama Bude.
Bang, misi. Mau nanya, tukang selendang mayang yang sering jualan di situ kemana ya?
Waduh, Babe baru aja kemarin berangkat, Mas. Dia ikut anaknya ke Malang, makanya udah nggak jualan lagi.
Makasih ya.
Iya, Mas.
Permisi, Mas.
Ya.
Tas dari Monas ya?
Iya, betul, Mas. Gimana, Mas?
Saya mau nanya.
Iya.
Kalau di situ ada yang nari nggak?
Kadang Sabtu Minggu ada. Tapi pas ada acara doang, Mas, biasanya.
Oh.
Gimana, Mas?
Kalau boleh tahu itu dari sanggar mana ya?
Ya banyak, Mas. Tiap acara beda-beda soalnya.
Bentar, Mas. Bentar.
Oh iya.
Kalau ini dari sanggar mana?
Oh, topeng Betawi. Kalau tarian Betawi biasanya dari Sanggar Mak Juju, Pasar Rebo.
Ibu.
Kenapa?
Saya minta maaf, Ibu.
Kenapa, Len?
Saya sebenarnya ditolak, Bu, sama Nurlela. Nggak ada yang mau sama Joko, Ibu. Soalnya Joko nggak punya masa depan.
Ngapain tuh orang?
Udah, kalau jodoh nggak akan kemana kok.
Iya ya. Aku nggak tahu kalau ondel-ondel bisa ngomong.
Ya bisa lah, kan isinya orang juga.
Iya ya. Kalian yang sering pentas di Kota Tua dan Monas ya?
Iya.
Wah, pantesan aku sering lihat kalian. Kalian keren.
Makasih.
Kalau boleh nanya, kenapa orang lain nggak boleh ngasih?
Nah, itu adalah bentuk protes kita terhadap ondel-ondel yang ada di jalan, yang kalau ngamen tuh udah ngawur, melanggar norma, ngamen gak kenal waktu, sampai azan aja nih Mas, diterobos sama mereka. Mereka tuh cuma pakai ondel-ondel sebagai alat mereka ngamen, biar nanti kalau dirazia sama Satpol PP, mereka bisa ngeles. Loh, kita kan melestarikan budaya Betawi. Halah, kentut. Lagi pula Mas, sebenarnya semenjak sanggar ini udah nggak beroperasi lagi, kita udah nggak ada kegiatan lain. Jadi ya untuk sekarang ini paling nggak ini yang bisa kita lakuin.
Oh iya.
Aku lihat kok tadi kamu ngangguk.
Mas, selendang mayangnya jadi?
Oh iya. Makasih Bang.
Iya, Mas.
Iya.
Boleh tolong bantu angkatin nggak?
Oh iya, sebentar.
Di pinggang.
Oh iya.
Iya.
Maaf.
Iya. Tunggu ya. Oke. Oh iya, nama kamu siapa?
Namaku Joko.
Oh, Joko.
Nama kamu siapa?
Mayang. Kenapa, Mas?
Selendang mayang.
Kok bisa ada di kamu?
Well, I wake up about 6 o'clock every morning And then I just ride a stationary bike for some kilometres. And then you walk down to that cold water and you're sort of thinking, why am I doing this? I'm Pauline Unsworth. I'm one of the forming members of the Buckettes that started about 13 years ago on Mona Vale Beach. It was just the three of us and we were very happy with just three, but then gradually a few other people came and now it's 25 women. 25 women, no men. There's something about the group that people, I think, are comfortable being themselves. You don't have to expose your personal life if you don't want to, but it's just the way they are. And I think there's a freedom there too. A freedom just to be yourself. If you're in the nude, you can't really be pretentious. Some of the Buckettes have never been in a group like this, so they're not sure what you do or how you behave. Well, there's been a lot of growth. You see people that have been shy, probably not comfortable with big groups, then gradually get used to it all and their life changes for the better.
I was always afraid of the water, to be honest, and water for me was scary, so I didn't really overcome that until I decided at 60 that I want to learn how to swim because I've been missing out all my life. Okay, all right. Okay, right. Hi, I'm sorry, I wasn't supposed to that. I'm Minna and I'm part of the Buckettes and I've been swimming with them for the last 3 years and it's a very big part of my life.
Well, Minna's amazing and she learned to swim on YouTube and then she joined us. She was a bit shy about it. She learned to ride a bike, so now she rides a bike down. So you see someone like Minna just keep on growing.
Some people would describe me as stubborn. I think I'm just determined. If I decide I'm going to do something, I do everything I can to do it, to complete it, because otherwise I don't want to have to deal with the disappointment. So I watch video after video on YouTube, what to do with breathing, got myself some goggles and practiced in a pool down here. And so I basically learned on the internet. For a long time I thought they were crazy. What drew me to them, I could hear them laughing. They're having so much fun, I'd love to be part of that. And just took the chance one day to say, could I come out there with you? That day was just the start of a couple of years of absolute adventure. Every day is an adventure.
It's so crowded down there, sometimes there might be 18 people in that shed and it's cheek to cheek.
Bum cheeks?
Bum cheeks. We're going after our swim in the winter, it's very cold. You'd rather avoid a cold shower. So we started taking a couple of litres of hot water down. So you'd stand in the bucket, pour the hot water over yourself a bit, and then your feet might defrost just a little bit because you're standing in the warm water. So that's how we got the name of the Buckettes.
You wouldn't do it on your own.
When you first go into the water, my feeling always is, it's not pleasant. I think the most powerful thing in the group is the togetherness. There's always 1 or 2, 3 people just watching you and come and get you and take your hand as you're getting out the water. A hand of friendship, a hand of support. We had some very hard times. I can't talk about that without crying. Anthony died in 1977. I think for me, I wanted to share it with everyone. I wanted to show his photo at bus stops. Anyone that would give me an ear or their eyes, I wanted to talk about it. I think with something like that, you need healing every day. I don't talk to them too much about it, but they know the days that are special, and you might get a little flower in your bag. 2 other friends have lost children, the children have died. So you might have a little specialness between you that maybe is just a touch. So that's a specialness of the heart.
Pauline always remembers the fine, minute details about you. She makes you feel really important.
So I don't think it matters where you come from or where you've grown up or how much money you earn. There's still women that you would meet and not know their circumstances. You'd never know.
I'm Italian background. My name is Giacomina Maria Grazie. As a 3-year-old, when I was taken to preschool, the director of the preschool said, well, we don't have that name in Australia. What's the middle name? And the middle name is Maria. Well, Maria in Australia is Mary, and I've been called Mary all my life. My name had been taken away from me. I told the Buckets the story, and Pauline, she said, well, we've given you your name back. They've taken it away from you unceremoniously. We'll give it back to you. And that's how the name Mina came about. There is something that happens when you're able to get out in the water and your troubles disappear for a little while. My favourite thing to do is just get out into it and then just spin around and look at it and just think, wow, wow.
If you believe in yourself, I think you have peace within yourself. They light your spark for the rest of the day. And if you don't do that, your day's pretty ordinary.
It's just an unbelievable place to be in. You feel just so alive out there. Like a little cork in the middle of the ocean.
Selamat datang and welcome everyone to the Q&A and the Meet Our Filmmakers and Jury session. We hope that you enjoyed the films very much and thank you for sticking around for this session now. My name's Gemma Purdy. I'm director of the ReelOzInd Short Film Festival, which is an initiative of the Australia-Indonesia Centre. I want to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which I am now situated and from where we're hosting this Q&A today, the peoples of the Kulin Nations in Melbourne. And I pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. And I acknowledge that there are Australians here with me today in other locations around the country, and also would like to acknowledge the peoples of the lands on which they are situated in their various locations. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. This is a really kind of landmark historic moment for us at ReelOzInd because it's the first time that we've had a session like this, a panel discussion that's actually included Indonesians and Australians. And, you know, sometimes it takes a bit of a crisis to get you to acknowledge that maybe, you know, your model needs to be shifted slightly. So ReelOzInd has been a festival which has travelled around and popped up in locations around Indonesia and Australia to screen our short films. And that's been extremely exciting for us because we've had live audiences in all sorts of settings. They're in cinemas, cafes, university campuses, schools, all sorts of things, you know, town halls. But because, you know, we're just a little short film festival, we haven't had the resources to take our filmmakers to the countries, to each other's country and to meet that way. So here we are virtually, finally together, Australians and Indonesians talking together. And so I'm excited about that. And it's, you know, our 5th year of ReelOzInd, which is also a pretty big deal for us. And it's particularly important, I think, that during this time, ReelOzInd is happening because it's a time when cultural exchange is obviously really difficult due to restrictions on international travel. And I don't think that, you know, when it comes to the Australia-Indonesia exchange, that much has been possible actually since March. And so ReelOzInd, I think, is perhaps one of the only kind of cultural activities for exchange that has gone ahead. And so we're really proud that we're kind of continuing to highlight the importance of the Australia-Indonesia connection for everyone and to bring your wonderful films to audiences in Australia and Indonesia, but, you know, much wider than that, you know, all around the world. So welcome and congratulations. Now, to introduce you guys, my guests today are, to begin with, the winners of this year's Best Film and Best Documentary for their film Seabirds, Ash Ball and Ed Coney. Hi Ash, hi Ed.
Hi.
And also the winners of the Best Fiction Film Award for 2020 for their film O Mayang O Mayang, Diana and Anggita. Hi guys.
Hi.
And of course, we're also joined by 2 of our wonderful jury members this year. Cika Prihadi, who is the festival director or program director for Mini Kino Film Festival in Bali. Hi, Cika. And the wonderful Ruby Challenger, very talented actress, filmmaker, and 2018 winner of Best Film, ReelOzInd Best Film for her film Daily Bread.
Hi.
Everyone, thank you so much for joining us from wherever you are, in Bali, in Jakarta, in Sydney, New South Wales, somewhere, and I'm in Melbourne. Okay, Ash and Ed, can I start with you? A question for you. Can you tell us a little bit about how you came to meet the women that feature in Seabirds and how you convinced them to share their kind of intimate stories with you and put that on film? You're a couple of guys. How did you do that?
Yeah, strange story, to be honest. If I tell it to you simply, just imagine me with skinny stay at the beach in Sydney, old ladies to come talk to me. That was the reality of the story. I actually met these ladies. Well, I knew of these ladies. I'd seen them swim. I'd actually seen a flash mob video of these ladies swim together every day. I was just so curious. And Ed actually lives near there. So I decided one day to con Ed into standing on the beach at 5 a.m. in the morning. And by 9 a.m. I was sitting down having a coffee with these ladies who ended up being the seabirds.
Did you get all of that, Gemma?
What's that?
Did you get all of that?
Yeah, a little bit
on my
sketchy.
side.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so you just approached them and they were happy to be part of a film like this? Or did they have some reservations?
Yeah, they definitely had some reservations. But yeah, I think we were lucky. They were just took sort of a gamble on being able to, getting involved. And then it was only when we're actually sitting down and talking with them face to face in the interview that we started to find out more and more about their stories. So we were quite lucky that they were open to sharing that with us.
Yeah. So, I mean, like most documentary, it kind of, the layers reveal themselves as you kind of get into it, and it can be much better than you ever thought it was going to be, right?
Yeah. I think when Ash and myself first met Minna and we heard, that she had learned how to swim off YouTube, straight away we looked at each other and we're like, oh, we've got to speak more with this lady. So
Yeah, oh, it's brilliant. And I really love that your film, and I think, it shares actually similarities, even though it's a fiction film. Mayang O Mayang, right, Fabiana and Anggita, is a story about seeking out human connections and friendship and that kind of intimacy. And, I think it's really stories for our times, isn't it? That, we are kind of aware of the need and the importance of human connections. And Fabiana and Anggita, your film, it's this story about the search for love, but it's also a story, one of the central characters in that film is the city, isn't it, of Jakarta, in which the search is being made. Is that something that you had planned? Was that one of the key drivers for the film, that Jakarta would be so prominent as a character?
Yeah, Gemma. So actually, I want to portray how people that not come from Jakarta to survive and live in this tough city. And I think it's interesting to know that people know that it's really hard to have a decent life in the city because of the high-paced society and then the high rate of competitiveness. But people still go for it anyway. People still live and go to in Jakarta. And I think the only answer that makes sense to me is because it's like we play a gamble. We know we have to pay high price for it, but we know that Jakarta offers some kind of miracle, some kind of hope that other cities don't offer. So yeah, I think it's interesting that the story will take place in Jakarta.
Yeah, it's very much, it is a central character in the film, the location of your story. And as I was saying, both films together for me really drove that home about the importance of seeking human connections in that case, in the midst of a big city where you can be very lonely. And then in the case of the women, in that small village, really, in a coastal community, can also be seeking that. And so family and friends, well, that brings me to Ruby, who I think is, definitely Ruby, one of our family members here at ReelOzInd. How did it feel being on the other side of the competition this year and judging? What was the highlight for you this year?
It was nerve-wracking, I have to say. Yeah, it was because you just see everybody's beautiful offerings and putting everything they have into it. So it was kind of really like a first time for me, I have to say, and a big privilege, I think, to be able to shift and do that as well. Yeah, and it was just beautiful. I don't even know what to say about that. It was kind of, I hate to say, but it was kind of like naming my daughter last year. I was like, oh my God, this is a really big responsibility. And I'm like responsible for all these people's beautiful films in a sense. And like,
I know.
So it was kind of really nerve-wracking. So yeah.
Was it fun too?
Beautiful. It was so wonderful to just sit down and have, all these hours of like sitting in the Indonesian landscape and then Australian landscape. And I just loved that. It was really beautiful to have that time and think about that. Yeah.
Cool. And Cika, I mean, you're absorbed in short film. Your festival. I'll ask you about your festival in a moment because we need to hear about that. But 5 years ago when we started ReelOzInd, you were there at the beginning of this story, very much a key partner for us in Indonesia, both of us kind of driven by the same things, which are about storytelling and getting visual storytelling out to wider audiences and a cross-cultural audience. And I don't know, can you maybe bring us up to speed a little bit with what's happening in the industry in Indonesia at the moment? I mean, obviously plenty of challenges, but how is, the Indonesian film industry supporting emerging filmmakers like Fabiana and Anggita, for example?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was like 5 years ago. How time flies, and it's really like, first of all, thank you for still having me around. I really enjoy every single year, and every single year I see improvements, not just in the term of the short films variety, but also how you do it. Like 2019, you were doing this online, so more or less you're like kind of like already vision that it's always like a eggs or chicken first, like especially short film festival circuit. Like we really like try hard to place short films in the same way as feature film. Like it deserves to have a big screen and all, so it's kind of like go back and forth, online edition, non-online, but you've done it, so congratulations. So you are kind of ready for this moment. But speaking about industry, short film industry in Indonesia still like far. But not that far. We're going there. We're moving forward, and every single year I'm seeing hundreds of films, and I'm sure I'm not seeing all of them. It's archipelago, so a lot of films and a lot of actually not connected. So I'm really happy that this year I'm seeing really like creme de la creme, already like the best, because you've already like make the pre-selection, and so I'm really glad. It's important this year, people like me in the short film festival circuit, when we got the chance that we have, we should bring these films to a wider audience, because it is also important for the career of the filmmakers, not just jumping it like there's VOD and then there's short film festival circuit. That depends on what you want. But I would feel the responsibility of a film festival to highlight these films and at least try our best to really like give it the proper platform so it is beneficial for the filmmaker's career.
Yeah, well, you guys do that. I mean, that's extraordinary what you do year after year. And I'm going to ask you about the festival in a minute that you've just successfully held, which is amazing. But Ed and Ash, I want to ask you guys, what's it going to be like seeing your film with the subtitles? And why did you enter ReelOzInd in the first place? Why a festival with an Indonesia connection? Do you have one already with Indonesia or not?
I might try and answer and see how I go. Feel free to tell me if it's too unstable. Ed can answer for me.
Okay.
For me, I guess, okay, I'll let Ed answer it.
No, go for it. Try.
I was going to say, for me, there is no, I guess, initial connection with the festival is the theme of energy, and this idea of these ladies, for me, kind of changed my perspective on energy itself. And I thought, is anyone that encapsulates the theme and what I want people to see and hopefully understand about Australia, it's these ladies. And so that's kind of why I was passionate about putting this film into the festival, and I think Ed would agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why. I mean, we're just so grateful that people wanting to watch it. To be honest, we made it out of passion. So,
yeah, it's a great opportunity for us to share this little snapshot of the northern beaches here in Sydney with an audience overseas as well. So yeah, it's a really good opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I mean, I do love that too. That ReelOzInd, we kind of start from zero with a lot of our filmmakers in their connections with Indonesia, and then it opens up a whole new experience for you guys and audience, and hopefully some opportunities. There's connections like people like Cika provide, and yeah. So that is the ultimate aim, you know, of our festival. But our first aim is for people to be able to see your awesome films. And yeah, indeed, energy is something that we definitely get from those ladies, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What about Angita and Fabiana? Do you have any connection with Australia? Why did you guys put your film in for ReelOzInd?
Well, actually, to be honest, Mayang Oh Mayang is my first film as a producer. So I was like looking for any opportunity that this film can be viewed by a lot of people, especially across country, like outside Indonesia. And then when I signed on Film Freeway, I found out the information about the ReelOzInd, and like the aim of the ReelOzInd festival itself, where we can express our thoughts through film without being limited by a certain stereotypes or stigma. So just make me interesting, like, oh, I think I have to submit this film to this festival. So yeah, and we didn't expect that Mayang Oh Mayang will be one of the winners. So, and especially like this festival brings together like many filmmakers from Australia and Indonesia, and definitely for me personally, it opened up my eyes and my mind that we can see a lot of perspective from many filmmakers, especially Indonesia and Australia has different, like different cases in a social condition. So it makes a lot of, like make a new perspective for me, especially for new filmmakers, Indonesia like me.
Great, thank you. Angita, have you got any connections, or this is new for you too?
New for me too.
Yay. That's so cool. No, that's something I think we're really proud of, that we're not kind of speaking to the same folks that have got long or existing connections with each other, that, you forge new ground and create these new spaces. Fabiana, can I ask you a little bit about the support? We're talking to Cika was mentioning, what's going on in the industry in Indonesia and the support for young filmmakers. You say this is your first film producing. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. The quality is excellent. Can you tell us a little bit about the support that you had for it? How did you get your crew? A little bit more about that production side.
Actually, this film, Mayang Oh Mayang, one of the best film on short film Jakarta Short Film Festival in 2019, and we won at the first we won as the best, one of the best films. And that festival, like a competition, we have to submit the proposal first. So it's like a pitching project, and we won the pitching as well. So we have we have got like much funding from the government to produce this film. And this is also the first time for me and Angita to work together, she as the director and me as the producer. So we have a lot of discussion, like how to make this film becomes true, like how to get how the story, like Angita always discuss with me, like how to make this film more attractive itself, and especially because like we also want to send a message about the culture itself, because we also talk about the culture in our film, about the traditional drink behind the story. So we also want to use film as one of our message to convey about the value of culture itself. in our time.
Yeah, that's great. And Angita, how did you team up with Fabiana? How did that come about?
I think it's an interesting story because I met Fabiana at another short film pitching program that not a Jakarta short film pitching program, and we get to know each other, and then hey, let's make a film.
Cool.
We,
Just like that.
just like that, and then we made it together.
That's awesome. It's a chemistry, and then you just make it happen.
It's kind of like a in Jakarta, like Cika said, that we have an event where a lot of filmmakers gathering together. So that's the moment where I and Angita met, and we talked about film and blah blah blah. And then, hey, it's a nice idea if we make a new one, like a short film, and yeah.
So it's a vibrant community, right? I mean, that's the sense that I get, that, you know, there's so much energy in within the community. What about you, Ash and Ed? Have you worked together before? Is this a team of long standing?
Go on, Ed.
You want to go? Okay.
No,
so no, this is our first documentary we've done together, but we've worked together in another sort of role, creating short films for other companies and stuff, but only a few. So this was our first chance to actually do something of a bit more substance and a bit of a longer form. So it was such a great experience working together.
And was it like self-funded, or were you guys able to get some kind of seed funding, like the girls?
No. So it was all self-funded. It was just a passion project for both of us.
It's usually the way.
Just two-man team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because your cinematography is stunning. I was going to ask about that. Like, who took care of that?
Yeah. So I did most of the filming, but Ash helped me with some of it as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Super. So really just two of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's super. And did it take a long time to gather all the interviews and to put it together?
Yeah, I mean, it did. The interview that we did went for like an hour and a half. My thing when I'm directing is I just really want it to be authentic answers and never fed. So I just spend time with the ladies, which makes Ed and I's life also enjoyable when it comes to the edit. There's a lot of me rambling and talk, but yeah, we did spend a lot of time filming. I think.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine the ladies like to have a chat once they get going.
Yeah, definitely.
They love a chat. They're often in our email inbox daily. We're chatting all the time.
Oh, really? Still there? I love that. Yeah. Well, actually, Angita, I wanted to ask you, because you've got a little bit of a similar background to Ruby, actually, in that, you're an actress as well as now a director of film. But you started out, on the stage in theatre, and that was, your forum. So what prompted you to shift to film for your stories, to tell your stories?
I guess it's because film can reach much wider audience, I guess, because if we held theater, people just can't go at that time and place, but film can reach much wider audience. And I think film is like a timeless medium for us to convey important messages. Like for me and Fabiana, we want to preserve cultural icons such as Selendang Mayang. That is, this film can be watched by much wider audience and everywhere and every time. And this platform also give us the opportunity to reach much wider audience. And yeah, we are thankful for that.
Yeah, and so now you're a convert. It's all about film for you now?
I think both. I will go for both. I love both of them differently, I guess.
Yeah, awesome. And Ruby, so that there is that similarity that we have between you and Angita being actors, and also now directing your own films. And well, you're both women too, so I have to ask the question. We know that film globally is still dominated by men, but I wanted to get your views. Like Ruby, do you think that there's some momentum shifting that, or is that premature? What do you think?
Oh, I think it's premature. I think I was so excited watching Mayang o Mayang because I loved it, and it had this beautiful delicacy about it and kind of energy. And then I saw that it was made by women, and it didn't sway my vote, but I was just like, yeah, like I'm so excited. And I was like, because it's this weird thing where you feel like everything, and I live in a really, I live in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, and things seem pretty equal, and you kind of feel like you're on that it's all happening. And then you're kind of reminded that, I hate to bang on about like really boring statistics, but it's going backwards. So I think a few years ago, or like what was it, 10 years ago or something, it was like 13% of directors were women, and now it's 12% or 11. Like it's going backwards.
Right.
And then on top of that, the fact that in 92 years of the Oscars, we've had 5 women directors not win, nominated.
Yeah.
That's just horrifying to me. So when I hear about like Alma Harrell doing, Free the Beard for ads, because I'm studying at AFTRS right now, and I kind of think, oh, it's a bit naff to just be a woman, female, filmmaker. Like we don't have to dwell on that. And then I I go, yeah, my aim is to be able to work in ads and do these things. And then you go, no, even at really big level, women are still not winning the bids of ads, so it is still important work, and it is still like, and I believe in a meritocracy, so the films have to be good, they have to be good filmmakers, but like, I don't think that we have tipped the scales anywhere near where we should be yet. So I'm a big champion of female filmmaking, and I'm making a horror film at the moment at school, and you're like, actually, when when the teachers say, oh, can you bring up some female filmmaker references, in the area of what you're looking at, you're like, no, I can't actually.
Can't find one.
Sorry, maybe in short films, but not at big level. Like, yeah.
Opportunities are not there.
Yeah, and I was very excited to watch Mayang o Mayang and a bunch of the offerings. I also, of course, loved Seabirds, and it was way up there for me, and I loved it. And a big part of that was, I love those women. I have a few of those women in my life, those kind of women, one of them sent me this mask. She always sends me things, so I love her. But, it's they're important women, and those are important stories to tell as well, because we often don't hear the female stories.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I mean, this is just something you don't know. You never know what you're going to get. Every year you have a competition, you have a shout out, you have a theme, but you never know like what you're going to get. But there's always these beautiful symmetries and themes that emerge. And this year I feel like the energy theme, we definitely have a really feminine kind of element which has come to the fore. And what about Cika? What about in Indonesia? What, do you feel the same as Ruby on that score about, the role of women and filmmakers? I mean, there's some great women in film in Indonesia right now. Mira Lesmana, we've got Muli Surya. There's also, of course, one of our fellow judges, Camilla Andini, doing excellent work. But as a whole, what's your view?
Yeah, similar. I agree with Ruby. It's premature. Like, as simple as the follower of the festival, social media, it's almost 70% male.
Yeah.
And yeah, we are hearing women filmmaker, but yeah, still how many percentage? So I think it's a like challenge. And I'm really especially happy that this year, you're seeing more variety. You're seeing women's story, and you're seeing also older people on the screen. I love that. We should see more of it. And I'm really happy with this year ReelOzInd selection, because it's an important year. Like not so many film festivals, and you would like to really push forward to all these really winning films to be able to get more audience. Come on, this is like a really good films. A lot of people should be able to watch it and get inspired by them. And maybe next year or this year, it's still not ending to 2020. Maybe they're making, you know, new one inspired by all these great films. Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to your online edition.
Yeah, and I mean we're all watching our screens, so you know we're a captive audience. So you have to tell us about your amazing short film festival that you just successfully ran when the rest of us are here online, confined, to that forum. How did you manage it in Bali, and how did it go?
Yeah, well, definitely great teamwork, and everybody kind of like have the strong heart to do it. Really happy and proud for the filmmakers to be able to screen their films on big screen. I know not so many audience. We have to like cut. Some places only have 30% attendance, but it's really good feeling because I think these films deserve the maximum quality of screenings that they deserve.
Yeah.
Most of the short filmmakers, especially, like Ash and Ed, right? Doing it like, like out of passion, they will do it with or without any pitching funding or whatsoever. And so many filmmakers out there are doing it from their hearts. So yeah, so we're really happy to be able to perform. But we are also like adding an online touch, and that's especially what do you call it, an opportunity, I must say, because then we can connect all of these great speakers from all around the world,
Yeah.
committed to still support each other, and then we can have like a really interesting hybrid edition of the festival. The talks and the forums are all online as well. So, and to add on that, this is like the day 17 after festival, and we're so happy that all the volunteers and the audience, we hear no bad news. Basically, people are still healthy. So we were like, yeah.
So your audience was like all pretty much local.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you couldn't have people from overseas and really from the rest of Indonesia, not so much.
Now, not so many. I think less than 5%. Most are expat that got stuck happily in Bali. The rest are local. We still even managed to do pop-up cinema to North Bali, North Bali, East, and also in Denpasar. So that is interesting. But still, heartbreaking. You cannot really like see people. Faces are all covered with face masks and sometimes face shield, and you really have to, make sure everybody's distance are, properly distanced. And yeah, I mean, you cannot see your audience. It's really like, well, you can talk with them, but muffled.
Different. And this is a good time for me to like show off my fabulous face mask that they gave to all of the attendees at their festival, which is just beautiful. And I was lucky enough to receive, which I'm going to be wearing around my neighborhood for the next little bit. So, well, I mean, Ed and Ash, I mean, you're obviously, maybe you're working on something new perhaps, and have there been challenges around COVID, doing work for the last 6 months? I can only imagine yes. So what are you guys up to?
Ash?
Oh, great. I think, yeah, it's been challenging, I guess, for us, like, trying to make films. This kind of sparked the joy for me, and trying to connect with young filmmakers I've found hard through COVID, because I'm just a stranger on Instagram messaging people. However, this was challenging too. Halfway through the shoot, we started shooting at the beginning of the year. We realized that we weren't going to get the footage that we really, really wanted. And I think there was a huge lesson in that we learned that story is the king always for us. And, we do with it. Even though COVID was a little challenging, we kind of got it done on this project. So hopefully there's more to come. I'm just not too sure what yet.
So you got it done. Ed, how did you manage that?
Yeah, we had a few Zoom calls where we were editing with shared screens over Zoom, which was quite interesting. I think we had ever done before. So that was new. But yeah, like as Ash said, we had all the interviews and we just got in with what we had. We're hoping to do a couple makeup shoots, but that didn't materialize. But I don't know if you heard the point that Ash said, because he said it to me the other day, was story always wins over the cinematography.
Right.
And yeah, we had that solid story, so that helped us a lot.
Right. So you learn to like boil it down to the essence of the story, which is the ultimate thing.
Yeah,
You can learn a lot, can't you, in terms of what is the most important thing when you've got difficulties like that. What about Fabiano and Angita? Are you guys working on anything? What are the challenges that COVID's thrown at you guys, creatively, professionally?
Angita, want to answer? Okay. So actually, filmmaker is not like my main job. So my main job as a graphic designer, but because of this pandemic, so we have to work everywhere online.
Yeah.
But maybe the things that challenge me the most is about the connection. It's very difficult to speak virtually, discuss something just like this. Sometimes the connection is really bad, and then sometimes the environment around us like just very noisy, so we cannot hear the person we talk to clearly. So yeah, that's the challenge. That what challenged me the most. But during this pandemic also give me time to make a lot of artwork, like because basically I'm a graphic designer, so I can make a lot of illustrator that I can like portray what I want to the message that I want to convey to the audience through my artwork. And also I still working with my colleagues who also filmmakers, because before Mayang Oh Mayang I also contributed in one short film called Lasagna, if you ever heard about it. But as the branding team, but we planning to make another one. So during this pandemic also makes me more creative. Like I get a lot of idea because I have my quality time. I to think alone and then think about my future as well. And I get more time to inspire a lot of things coming to my mind.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing of ReelOzInd. We did not suffer a lack of submissions this year. The filmmakers, you guys are still busy. Things are still getting done. And in fact, you can look around and see how creative people are sparking off. Angita, what about you?
Actually, I'm just graduated this year from college. So it's a really hard time to find a job. I plan to become a filmmaker, but I need to find a job, and I can't. So this year I have several film projects, but some of them have to be postponed. But several film projects were created because of this pandemic in virtual productions format. So it's kind of interesting to how filmmakers become adaptive to these situations, and it's quite challenging too.
Yeah, but so I've seen some of the fabulous stuff that people have been doing, bringing together the virtual footage and that kind of thing, and it's really exciting. Yeah, new frontiers. I think we're out of time. I really wanted to hear more about Ruby's horror film, which, Ruby, there's a market in Indonesia right there for you. The internet, don't you guys? You love horror films, so I can't wait to see this horror film. So please share it with us when you're done. But yeah, I'm afraid we're out of time, but it's been so wonderful to meet you all. Hopefully, next time we meet, it is in a cinema or somewhere with a big screen and we've got popcorn and, we're able to get together in that way. And it will happen. sometime in the future, hopefully not too far away. And yeah, welcome to the ReelOzInd family, everyone. So excited to have you join us. And again, congratulations on your films, Anggita, Fabiana, Ash, and Ed, and on your awards. And huge thanks again to Cika and to Ruby for supporting us, for lending us your wisdom and your expertise and your time with the judging. And before I go, just a couple more thanks to our production crew, Steve, Abby, Nella, and Paul, who have put together our festival for us, and also to our festival partners, in particular Creative Victoria, who's been very supportive of ReelOzInd for several years now. So thank you to all those people. And finally, a reminder to everyone that ReelOzInd will be online until the 1st of December, and as well as our best films, the films judged best, our full shortlist of 24 films is also available via our website to watch and to vote for your favourite. So get online and choose your favourite film and indulge in those wonderful 24 films that are there for all of you to watch till the 1st of December. But that's it from me. Thanks everyone again, and terima kasih banyak semuanya, dan sampai jumpa lagi. Saya harap di Jakarta atau di Bali mungkin. Hopefully we meet sometime soon. Sydney, Melbourne, Bali or Jakarta. So thanks again, and bye everyone.
Thanks, Gemma. Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay healthy.